I'm Heather, a 30-year-old graphic designer in Los Angeles. At our family dinner table in our Hollywood Hills home, my mother's words cut deep. Heather, a useless person like you, has no right to live in this house. She hisses, her voice cold and final. The room falls silent, forks frozen midair. My father clears his throat, staring at his plate. Your mother's right. Your sister's headed for the top before 30. You're just different. I glance at my sister, her dress crisp and perfect, then at my mother wearing the earrings I gave her last birthday, ones she called cute, but simple, before flaunting them at my sister's events. Something snaps inside me. I stand chair, scraping the floor, and pull a mortgage statement from my purse. I've been keeping this house afloat for 2 years, I say, slamming the paper down. My mother's eyes narrow, her smile forced. That's what family does, Heather. My sister needs to focus on her career. Her words burn, useless, no right to live here. I grab my purse, heart pounding. Fine, I say, heading for the door. Let's see how you manage without me. My sister calls, Heather, wait, but I keep walking. The night air hits sharp and freeing. If you've ever been undervalued by your own family, hit like, subscribe, and comment your story below. Stick around for the truth that shuts them all up. 1 week later, my phone buzzes as I'm leaving my studio in downtown LA, exhausted from a late-night project. It's my mother, her voice syrupy sweet, asking me to come over and help sort tax paperwork. You're so good with numbers, Heather, she says, the backhanded compliment stinging like it always does. I hesitate, still raw from her words at dinner, useless. No right to live here, but I agree, hoping maybe this time she'll see my worth. At their Hollywood Hills home, I sit at the cluttered desk in my mother's office, surrounded by stacks of receipts and folders. My hands move mechanically, sorting papers until a familiar name catches my eye. Mine. A student loan statement, not for me, but for my sister. I freeze, the numbers blurring into focus. $19,400 paid off last year with a transfer confirmation linked to my bank account. My stomach twists. I dig deeper, flipping through the pile. Car payment records for my sister's sleek BMW, $3,600 over 12 months. Credit card statements, $9,200 for designer bags. Dinners, her work trips. These aren't one-off emergencies. This is systematic, planned, expected. My hands shake as I grip the papers, my heart racing with a mix of betrayal and rage. I march to the living room where my mother, Stephanie, lounges on the couch, flipping through a magazine. My father, Andrew, sits nearby, scrolling on his tablet. What is this? I demand, holding up the student loan statement. You used my money to pay for Danielle's loans. My mother barely glances up, her tone dismissive. Heather, don't overreact. You were helping the family. Her loans were a priority. A priority, I snap, waving the car payment records. $3,600 for her car. And this, I fan out the credit card statements. $9,200 for clothes and restaurants. My father adjusts his glasses, his voice calm but firm. Transportation and appearance matter for her marketing job, Heather. She meets clients. I turn to the hallway where my sister Danielle steps in, her phone in hand, confusion on her face. What's going on? She asks, looking between us. Did you know about this? I ask, my voice sharp. Danielle shrugs, tucking her phone into her pocket. Mom said you wanted to help. I didn't ask for details. Mom said you wanted to help. The words hit like a punch. 2 years of late nights, skipped vacations, and maxed out savings, thinking I was saving my family from a temporary crisis. Instead, I've been funding Danielle's lifestyle while they called me useless. I step closer to my mother, my voice low but steady. You told me it was just the house. Just temporary. You lied. Stephanie sets her magazine down, her eyes narrowing. Family supports family, Heather. You're stable. Danielle needs freedom to build her career. Stable. Like I'm some pack mule, reliable but invisible. My father chimes in, his tone patronizing. You've always been practical, Heather. Your job doesn't need the same presentation. Presentation. I laugh bitter and loud. I'm still paying off my own loans while you clear hers. I've delayed car repairs because I couldn't afford them. My mother blinks, unfazed. Your sister's wedding is coming up, she says, as if it's obvious. You'll help with that too, won't you? She deserves a perfect day. The casual assumption knocks the air from me. Wedding, I didn't even know Danielle was engaged. My sister shifts uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. I didn't want to make a big deal, she mumbles. I stare at them, the room shrinking around me. All this time, I've been their ATM propping up their lives while they dismissed mine. I gather the papers, clutching them like evidence in a trial. I'm not done with this, I say, heading for the door. My mother calls after me. Heather, don't make a scene, but I'm already halfway to my car. The weight of their betrayal settles in my chest heavier than ever, but a fire burns beneath it, a resolve to make them face the truth. Driving back to my apartment in downtown LA, my hands still tremble from the confrontation at my mother's house. The papers, student loans, car payments, credit card statements are stuffed in my purse, each one a piece of evidence that my family's been bleeding me dry. I can't sleep that night. My mind replaying Danielle's shrug, mom's dismissive tone, dad's patronizing excuses. By morning, I'm resolved to uncover the full truth. I head to the bank requesting printouts of every transaction tied to my account for the past 2 years. The clerk raises an eyebrow but complies, handing me a thick stack of statements. Back home, I spread them across my kitchen table, highlighting every transfer to my parents' account. $28,800 for the mortgage alone. My chest tightens as I tally it up, realizing how much I've sacrificed, missed rent payments, delayed medical checkups, all to keep their house afloat. In my bedroom, I pull out a small leather journal, something I started keeping to track their endless requests. Flipping through it, I see the pattern: mom's calls about temporary setbacks. Dad's promises it was just one more payment. Each entry stabs at me, a record of their manipulation. Then, a new discovery stops me cold. A bank statement shows a $5,000 transfer to a luxury travel agency dated last month, when I was working overtime to cover their emergency property taxes. I grab my phone, opening Instagram, and there it is, a photo posted 3 weeks ago. My parents and Danielle, all smiles in front of a New York skyline, cocktails, raised captioned, "Family getaway, living our best life." My blood boils. They went to New York with my money while I was scraping by, thinking they couldn't make ends meet. I scroll further and freeze. Another post buried in Danielle's stories shows her trying on a wedding dress tagged with a venue in Beverly Hills. A wedding. She's planning a wedding, and they didn't even tell me. The betrayal cuts deeper than mom's words at dinner. I've been funding not just their lifestyle, but a secret engagement, a celebration they didn't bother to share. My eyes burn as I slam the phone down, the journal shaking in my hands. At work, my focus crumbles. I'm a graphic designer used to tight deadlines, but now I miss a client revision, my boss pulling me aside. "Heather, you're slipping," she says, her voice concerned but firm. I nod, muttering an apology, but my mind is elsewhere, calculating every dollar I've poured into their lies. That evening, I sit alone in my apartment, the city lights flickering outside. I add to my journal, documenting every call, every request, every time they made me feel like the lesser daughter. The pages fill with numbers and dates, but also my anger, how mom praised Danielle's ambition while calling my career safe, how dad justified it as family duty. I find another statement tucked in an envelope: $2,000 for a wedding planner paid from my account without my knowledge. I lean back, my head pounding. Sleep becomes a distant memory, replaced by nights spent staring at the ceiling, my savings account dwindling while Danielle's life shines. At work, I catch myself zoning out during a team meeting, the numbers from my journal haunting me. My boss notices the dark circles under my eyes, but I brush it off. I'm fine, I lie, but the truth is, I'm unraveling piece by piece. I call the bank again, requesting more records, digging for anything else they've hidden. The clerk hands me a final statement showing a pattern of transfers I never authorized. My resolve hardens. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about their betrayal, their assumption I'd keep paying to stay in their shadow. I organize the statements into a binder, each page, a weapon for the confrontation I know is coming. As I close the journal, my phone buzzes with a text from my mother. Family meeting next week, she writes. We need to talk about responsibilities. I stare at the screen, my fingers hovering over a reply, but I don't respond. Instead, I add one last note to my journal. They'll see the truth, and it's going to hurt. I pull up to my parents' Hollywood Hills home, the 3-inch binder heavy on my passenger seat, its pages packed with 2 years of financial betrayal. My mother's text about the family meeting burns in my mind, her words about responsibilities, dripping with the same manipulation I've heard for years. I step out of my car, the evening air cool against my skin, and walk toward the house, my resolve like steel. Inside, the dining room feels like a courtroom. My mother, Stephanie, sits at the head of the table, her posture rigid, a glass of wine untouched before her. My father, Andrew, slumps at the other end, his fingers drumming nervously. Danielle perches between them, scrolling on her phone, her engagement ring catching the light. I set the binder down with a deliberate thud, the sound cutting through the tense silence. What's this about? Heather, Stephanie asks, her tone clipped as if I'm wasting her time. I open the binder to the first tab labeled Mortgage and slide it toward the center. Time to go through what I've paid for the last 2 years, I say, my voice calm but unyielding. Let's start with the house. $28,800 in mortgage payments, 24 months at $1,200 each. Stephanie's eyebrows shoot up, but she recovers quickly. That's expected, Heather. You've always helped out. I flip to the next section, student loans, and point to the highlighted total. $19,400 for Danielle's loans, not mine. Andrew's face pales, his fingers stilling. I move to car payments. $3,600 for Danielle's BMW. And finally, I fan out the credit card statements. $9,200 for her clothes, dinners, work trips. Danielle's phone slips from her hand, clattering on the table. That's more than I make in months, she whispers, her eyes wide with shock. I meet her gaze. More than I can afford to, I say, my voice sharp. I'm still paying my own loans while funding your lifestyle. Stephanie leans forward, her voice hard. You're exaggerating, Heather. Half those were gifts. You offered to help. Gifts. I pull out a manila folder, copies of every check, every transfer, every unauthorized withdrawal. $61,000 total, I say, sliding the folder across the table. Would you like to count each one? Andrew mutters. This is ridiculous, but his eyes avoid mine. Danielle flips through the folder, her hands trembling, stopping at a statement for her designer suits. I had no idea, she says, her voice breaking. Mom said you wanted to contribute because of your steady job. Steady job, I laugh, the sound harsh in the quiet room. I've been killing myself to cover your bills while you call me useless. The doorbell rings, cutting through the tension. That's Aunt Nicole, I say, standing to let her in. Stephanie's face tightens. Nicole. Why is she here? Aunt Nicole steps inside her presence, calm but firm, her graying hair pulled back. I asked her to join us, I say, nodding to her. Nicole settles beside me, her eyes scanning the binder. I see you're showing them the numbers, she says, her voice steady. I suspected something was off, Stephanie. Family helps in emergencies, not like this. The silence grips the room, heavy and accusing. Stephanie glares at her sister. You don't understand our dynamics, Nicole. Danielle breaks the quiet, her voice small. My friend Jenna asked why Heather's been absent from family events. She thought something was wrong. Stephanie waves her off. Your friends don't get it, Danielle. But uncertainty creeps into her tone. Aunt Nicole leans forward. The neighbors called last week, Andrew. They heard rumors about money troubles while you're planning a lavish wedding. Andrew's face reddens. That's none of their business. I flip to the final page of the binder, the summary total highlighted in yellow. $61,000, I say, my voice cutting through their excuses. That's what I've paid to be treated like the lesser daughter. Danielle looks at me, her eyes glistening. I didn't know it was this much, she says, but then adds, Mom said it was for the family. You were okay with it. Okay with it, I snap, my anger boiling over. You were planning a wedding with my money and didn't even tell me. Stephanie stands her chair, scraping softly. Heather, you're making this bigger than it is. Family supports family. I meet her gaze, unflinching. Not anymore. I'm done being your bank. Andrew tries to speak, his voice shaky. Heather, let's talk this out. But I shake my head, closing the binder with a snap. There's nothing to talk about. The evidence is right here. Aunt Nicole places a hand on my shoulder, her support grounding me. You've been carrying too much, Heather, she says. It's time they face the consequences. The room falls silent again, their faces a mix of shock and denial. For the first time, I see cracks in their carefully built facade, and I'm not rushing to fix it. I gather my binder, the weight of it lighter now, and head for the door. This isn't over, I say, my voice steady. But I'm not paying for your lies anymore. 2 days after the family meeting, I sit across from my parents in their Hollywood Hills kitchen, the air thick with tension. My mother, Stephanie, slides a piece of paper toward me, her smile practiced but strained. We've been thinking, Heather, she says, her voice too sweet. We understand you feel underappreciated. We'll make sure everyone knows how much you've helped, especially Danielle. My father, Andrew, leans forward, his hands clasped tightly. It's a fair deal, Heather. Resume the mortgage payments and we'll tell the family you're the backbone. His words hang in the air, a desperate attempt to pull me back into their web. 2 months ago, I might have wavered, hoping for their approval. Today I see their offer for what it is, another manipulation. I push the paper back, my voice cutting through the quiet. I'm done paying for your lies, I say. Stephanie's smile falters, her eyes darting to a stack of past due notices peeking from under a cookbook. Andrew clears his throat. Think about what you're risking, Heather. Family ties don't mend easily. I meet his gaze, unflinching. I've been paying to be disrespected for 2 years. That ends now. Later that week, I open my laptop and accept a new job offer, senior graphic designer at a tech startup in San Francisco, with a salary of $135,000 a year, $33,000 more than I make now. I pull up a spreadsheet, my budget laid bare. Without supporting their house, I'll save $3,200 a month. For the first time, I see a future where my money builds my life, not theirs. My phone buzzes with a text from Aunt Nicole. Family reunion this weekend, she writes. They're expecting you to chip in. I stare at the message, then delete it without replying. I'm done with their expectations. Days later, I'm at the bank requesting final confirmation of every payment I've made to my parents. The clerk hands me a sealed envelope from the landlord, a contract showing the house mortgage paid in full, $61,000, all from my account, finalized last month. I drive to my parents' house unannounced, the contract in hand. Stephanie opens the door, her face paling as she sees the envelope. What's this? She asks, her voice unsteady. I hand it to her, my tone flat. Proof I paid off your house. $61,000, every cent from me. Andrew steps into the hallway, his glasses slipping down his nose. Danielle appears behind him, her engagement ring glinting. The room goes silent, their eyes fixed on the contract. Stephanie's hands tremble as she reads the total, her usual composure gone. Andrew stammers, Heather, we didn't realize. I cut him off. You didn't realize because you didn't care. You used me while calling me useless. Danielle steps forward, her voice soft. Heather, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was this much. Sorry doesn't change it. I say, my anger steady now. You planned a wedding with my money and didn't even invite me. I turn to leave, but Stephanie grabs my arm. We can work this out, she says, her voice desperate. We're family. I pull away, my gaze cold. Family doesn't treat family like this. I walk out, the contract still in their hands, their silence louder than any words. Back in my apartment, I start packing for San Francisco. My lease is up. My new job starts in 3 weeks, and I'm ready to leave their shadow behind. My phone lights up with a call from my mother, but I let it go to voicemail. A text follows. "We're struggling, Heather. The house might be sold." I don't reply. Let them face the consequences. At work, I wrap up my final projects, my focus sharper than it's been in months. My boss notices, pulling me aside. "You're back on your game, Heather," she says, a smile in her voice. I nod, feeling lighter. No more late nights covering their bills, no more guilt trips. I'm building my own life now. As I tape up a moving box, I find an old photo of me and Danielle at a family picnic, both of us laughing years before the lies took hold. I pause, then tuck it into a drawer. That version of us is gone. My phone buzzes again, another family reunion invite, this time from a cousin. I swipe it away, my decision final. Their world no longer includes me, and I'm okay with that. A week after leaving the contract in their hands, I'm in my new San Francisco apartment, unpacking boxes under the soft glow of morning light. My phone buzzes on the counter, my mother's name flashing on the screen. I hesitate, my heart steadying as I press play on her voicemail. "Please come back. My dear daughter." Stephanie's voice trembles, thin and desperate. "We're struggling without you. The house might be sold." Her words echo the hook from that dinner, useless, no right to live here. But now they're laced with panic. I stare at the phone, my fingers typing a reply before I can overthink it. Still crashing at that useless girl's place, I hit send, the words sharp and final, then block her number. No more guilt trips, no more lies. I'm done. Danielle's email arrives the next day, her tone softer, almost pleading. "I took over the mortgage last month," she writes. "It's harder than I thought. Mom and Dad wanted me to ask you for help until I'm settled. I told them no." I read it twice, her words stirring a flicker of something, pity maybe, but not enough to pull me back. I delete the email without replying, my decision to cut them off complete. 6 months later, I'm settled in San Francisco, my new job as a senior graphic designer filling my days with purpose. My student loan app pings, showing another $2,400 paid off this month. No more mortgage payments for my parents, no more credit card bailouts for Danielle. Just my own financial freedom, one step at a time. My boss calls me into her office, her smile wide. "Heather, your designs for the Reynolds campaign were a hit," she says. "You're on track for a promotion by spring." I nod, a real smile breaking through, no longer dimmed by the need to downplay my success. At a company dinner, I slip into a simple navy dress, my shoulders back. My reflection showing a woman who's stopped shrinking. A colleague asks about my family, and for the first time the question doesn't sting. "We're not in touch," I say, my voice calm. "It's complicated, but I'm focusing on me now." She nods, understanding. Sometimes that's how it goes. Aunt Nicole visits one weekend, bringing takeout to my small living room. She raises her glass of iced tea, her eyes warm. To Heather, she says, who chose herself over their demands. I clink my glass against hers, the truth settling deep. My family's world, Stephanie, Andrew, Danielle, crumbles without my money. I hear through a distant cousin they sold the Hollywood Hills house, moving to a smaller place, their lifestyle downsized. I feel no urge to help, no pull to reconnect. Looking back, I see the lesson carved in every dollar I gave them. I learned that family isn't always unconditional love. It can be a trap, a ledger of expectations that drains you dry. I spent $61,000 to learn that boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. Prioritizing my self-respect and financial freedom gave me a life I never thought possible, one where I'm not the lesser daughter, but the woman who chose herself. To anyone watching, let my story be a warning. Don't let love blind you to exploitation, even from family. Set limits, protect your worth, and build a life that's yours. Self-reliance isn't just freedom, it's power. I wish I'd learned it sooner, but I'm here now, and that's enough. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Your stories keep this channel going. Stay tuned for more real-life truths.